Good day, everyone. In our last session, we talked about the major differences between the developed and developing nations, and we talked about systems. I remember that we defined, before we talked about systems, we defined intelligence, and I said that the simplest definition of intelligence is the ability to solve problems. So we said the more problems you solve, the more complex problems you are able to solve, you're considered to be intelligent. However, it is extremely important to point that intelligent is not one thing. So, and we have to understand that the world of psychology has not yet arrived at a universally agreed upon definition of intelligence. We just have theories, but what we know so far, simply is the ability to solve problems. However, as I said, intelligence is not one thing. In 1984, an American psychologist called Howard Gardner came up with a theory. He called his theory the theory of multiple intelligences, and he said that human being can have up to 8 different intelligences. Gardner said that we cannot have all 8 intelligences, but however, we can have 1 or 2 dominant intelligences, then we have the rest less dominant, and sometimes we might miss some other intelligences. Now, I'll just go and list the intelligences that Gardner proposed. One is logical mathematical intelligence. We can see sometimes that some kids are very good in math, but some others are not. So we can tell immediately that these people or these kids are good in math, right? They have high level of logical mathematical intelligence. But it does not mean that others are not intelligent, because according to Gardner, different people have different intelligences. The next intelligence is linguistic intelligence. Again, I'm sure some of you have noticed that sometimes you have kids of 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old. They can talk like adults, and sometimes you have some people that are 50 years old, they have difficulty communicating. These kids, they have linguistic intelligence. The next is spatial intelligence, or the ability to see clear and vivid pictures in your mind. When you close your mind, you can, for example, if they ask you to build a house, you close your eyes and you can see the house clearly before even being built. This is called spatial intelligence. The next one is bodily kinesthetic intelligence, those people that can move their body in a way that others cannot do. Now, if you look at the world of sports, I'm sure some of you watch soccer, and you know Messi and Ronaldo. These people definitely have high levels of bodily kinesthetic intelligence. Next one is musical intelligence. Some people are just very good in music. Interpersonal intelligence. Again, some people have no difficulty connecting to other people. If you leave them in a room with 10 other people, immediately they can establish the connection with others. And intrapersonal intelligence, and that is the ability to get to know yourself. Now, why this is important is because according to Gardner, when people are put or guided into areas, environments that are close to their dominant intelligence, for example, if somebody has musical intelligence and this person works in an environment that has anything to do with music, then this person would be a happy and productive person. This is extremely important, extremely important. Sometimes you have a person, for example, that has high levels of logical mathematical intelligence, and this person ends up working in a sales department or HR department or PR department, being forced to talk to other people all day. This person definitely will not be a happy person. We're going to take a break and come back in probably a minute. So we said that putting people in areas where they belong, or areas that correspond to their dominant intelligences is extremely important for two things: happiness and productivity. This is extremely important for parents initially to know, to try to discover the dominant intelligences of their kids, so they can guide them into areas where they can be more successful. I have friends. I'll just give you an example. I had a friend that used to drag his son into the martial art dojang, and the kid used to cry. It took a while for me to try to convince him that this kid does not have the bodily kinesthetic intelligence, so he probably would excel in something else. So sometimes I see some parents that complain, for example, they think their kids are not intelligent because simply they don't know math. That's not true. They are intelligent, but we have to discover what is it that they can do. In business, this is extremely important. Sometimes you go and you see some employees that are very miserable. They're not very happy in what they do, simply because they are not put in the right place. So as parents or business managers, it is extremely important for us to try to understand the intelligences of those people that we're dealing with, and to put them in the right place, because at the end of the day, we want higher productivity and we want happy people. When you're happy, blood circulation in your body is faster, you get more oxygen, you're definitely more active, you're definitely more productive. When you're sad, it's exactly the opposite. When you're not put in the right place, you definitely are going to be a sad and unproductive person. Now, there are tests readily available on the internet. You can go and check them out. I think today they have developed this theory, and today they propose more intelligences. I think today we arrived at 12 or even 16 different intelligences. What I want to say is that it's always important for us to see what is it that we can do best and try to do that. And do not be under social pressure. If you do not like to be a doctor, it's not a good idea to be pushed into that area where you have no prerequisites naturally for being there. Try to find what is it that you can do best, what is it that makes you happy. There you can be a happier person and a more productive person. Okay, so we arrived at the conclusion that it is extremely important for us to work in areas that belong to our dominant intelligences, so we become more productive and happier people. Now, one challenge that I usually face when I talk about this theory is with people that spent a lifetime in areas that do not belong to their dominant intelligences, and then they come and ask me, what do we do now? Should we switch careers? Now, it depends on where you are. In some environments, you have opportunity. It's never too late to change careers. In some other environments, maybe opportunities are not there, so you cannot leave your job and go start over again when you're way down or even close to retiring. So what I advise, what I tell these people is try to find a hobby for yourself that corresponds to your dominant intelligence. That hobby makes you happier. And we have something called positive spillover, is that happiness that you will draw from practicing that hobby that corresponds to your dominant intelligence will definitely, the happiness will affect your social life, your work life, and every other aspect of your life. And the opposite is true. If you're miserable at work, you will take this misery everywhere with you. Thank you very much, and we'll continue in our next session, God willing.